Namaskar. Thank you, all of you, for your love and support in the previous episodes. And I am very grateful that suggestions are coming in from the viewers about the next episodes. And like I always say, that the main motive about this video series is to spread some positive as well as some right news. I would like to start with the good news that in India we are having positivity rate is on a decline, which means the second wave's peak is on a decline. We are getting around 2 lakh cases and around 2 lakh 50,000 recoveries are happening every day. Around 20 crore people have been vaccinated. And what is still a worrisome for us is the death rate. The number of deaths is still 1.1% or 1.08, something around that. There is not much difference in that. Therefore, this is something that is very worrisome. But statistically speaking, the death rate of wave 1 is similar to the death rate of wave 2. The number of persons affected in the phase 1 are similar to the number of people affected in phase 2. What has worked in phase 2 is that the elder people have been in a way saved because of the vaccination. The younger people who have not yet been covered, they are at a higher risk. But then again, this particular disease is breaking all normal scientific records. It is breaking all normal scientific protocols. So you cannot define this disease on the basis of any scientific protocol. Coming to the topic today, many of you have asked me to speak on the matter of mucormycosis, or popularly called the black fungus. There is lot of hue and cry about black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus, and if there will be any green fungus, blue fungus, and all these things are making round in the media, in the social media especially. But what is important is we need to know what the reality is. People are saying that black fungus is dangerous, even more dangerous is white fungus, even more dangerous is yellow fungus. But let us come down to the facts. Let us, as per the official records, as of now, the national figure of mucormycosis, it would be wrong if we call it by the names of black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus. If we call it by these names, it would be very wrong on our part. Mucormycosis is the name of the disease that is being seen in COVID affected patients. So the total number of mucormycosis cases reported intra or post is around 11,717. I have myself in my hospital, I have seen 3 to 4 cases of black fungus, which is again mucormycosis. Let me make this point very clear that it is mucormycosis that is making the world go astray than any other color of the fungus. We need to know what is this disease and why is this disease a major cause of mortality during this second wave of COVID-19. Why is this disease causing so much of hue and cry and causing so much of fear in the minds of the people about the treatment protocols of COVID and other things. Many people have talked many bullshit about allopathic medicine, and they have gone to that extent of claiming our scientific researches as bogus. But let me tell you, we are a scientific society with well documented scientific data of every particular medicine that we give. Medicines keep on changing, the doses keep on changing in a new disease as and as the number of cases increase, as and as the number of studies increase, the treatments will definitely increase, will keep on changing. So there is nothing like that. If somebody is telling that allopathic medicine has no head and tail, rather the other medicine may not have any head and tail. Anyways, coming back to our topic of the day, that is mucormycosis. And what is this black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus? To be specific, let me tell you that black fungus is a black fungus mucormycosis is a disease that is being seen pan India. White fungus is something that is seen in Bihar, West Bengal, and in the northern part of India. And about yellow fungus, there has been only one report. As of now, there has been only one report, that is of a yellow fungus in Ghaziabad. So these fungi are actually, they are, in our term, they are called as opportunistic systemic mycosis. These are a class of fungus that are normally not seen in the human body. They are not symbiotic to the human body, but these are opportunistic funguses who depend on who look for opportunity to get into a human body, and if it gets into the human body, then it gets deadly. Normally these infections are seen in birds, but in humans, when they enter the human blood circulation via any media, they become deadly, because they are not very feasible with our body. Our body is not feasible to their system, and that is why they are called as opportunistic mycosis. Now, where does or who does these fungus affect? We need to understand that a lot of theories are being floated that long term oxygen therapy, long term steroid therapy during the COVID, long term the humidifier in the oxygen cylinder that is used, that there is a fungal growth in that, and through that it enters the airway and causes all other kind of the mucormycosis, mucopneumonia that it is causing. But that is wrong. Let us admit it. COVID, long-term use of COVID of steroids in COVID-19, you cannot call something long-term when the disease itself is a short-term disease. The disease is just 1 year old. How can you call the disease to be a long-term disease? People who are on steroids for years because of their multiple other conditions, maybe some severe allergic reactions, maybe some SLE, maybe some immunocompromised diseases, maybe a renal transplant patient, maybe a diabetic patient, or maybe in a other way, hemolytic patient having hemolytic problem, long-standing gastric problem. All these people who are on long-term steroid treatment, they are prone to get the infection. Not these people who are taking steroids for 10 to 15 days, maximum 1 month during the COVID time. They are not getting mucormycosis. We must be clear about this. Long-term steroid treatment is certainly a factor that gives an opportunity to these mycosis to enter into our body and attack it. These fungi or these microorganisms are, as I said, they are opportunity. Then what is this black, white, yellow? These kind of classifications of mucormycosis is basically done on the basis of the organism. Like suppose I am Anshuman Kar. My family name is Kar. But of that Kar, I have my father, then I have my grandfather, I have my cousins, all of them who carry the name of Kar. But again, we are different. Anshuman is different from Anubhav, Anubhav is different from Ranjit, Ranjit is different from Rajat. These kind of differentiations is what we have in the mucor family. In every organism's family, this kind of species differences there, and this the color of the fungus, that we are calling it colloquially as black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus. This is due to the organism. What is the organism? Rhizophus is the most common organism that is found in our environment that causes mucormycosis. Followed by it is Lichemia, Cunninghamelia, Rhizomucor, and Apophycomyces. There are around 11 genera and 27 species of mucorales, that is the mucor family mycosis, that causes this mycosis, that causes mucormycosis. Out of this, Rhizophus erizus is the most common agent causing mucormycosis in India and globally. Rhizophus mucorsporus and Rhizophus homothalicus are the other two species that are causing mucormycosis. Right now, these species have not been extracted in a in a substantial amount from the patients who are either succumbing due to mucormycosis or are in a very critical state. These organisms have not been properly documented as to what is the disease, which particular species is causing the black fungus, which particular species is causing the white fungus, which particular species is causing the yellow fungus and all. Apophycomycosis variabilis is the second most commonly isolated agent in India, which approximately accounts for 60% reported cases in the literature, that causes cutaneous mucormycosis in the form of necrotizing fasciitis. Now, necrotizing fasciitis or cutaneous mucormycosis probably is the mucormycosis that we are referring to as a yellow fungus. Yellow fungus means there will be some pus, there will be some material coming out, yellowish material coming out from the body, which is actually dangerous, because a necrotized tissue is more dangerous than a normal tissue. Now, we must understand that the mucormycosis is divided into various forms of mucormycosis according to the anatomical site it is affecting. The most common is the RCOM, that is the ROCM, that is the rhino orbitocerebral mucormycosis. Orbitocerebral mucormycosis. It is if I can just show you, it is this particular area of our body that is affected. And if you see the symptoms, then there is this swelling in the orbital area, swelling in the face. These are very common symptoms that are seen during this mucormycosis that is being reported. Now, following that, ROCM accounts for some 45 to 74% cases. Now, I am not telling this of COVID. This is the data of normal days. So mucormycosis is not something new. It is a developing disease in the developing country as well as in the underdeveloped countries. It is a disease that is on a high rise. Slowly it is going towards a epidemic or an endemic disease. In particular, in various areas it has become endemic, and it is moving towards becoming an epidemic. Various states in this COVID state have declared mucormycosis as an epidemic, just because mucormycosis minus COVID is also very much present in our society. Following ROCM mucormycosis, the next most common is the cutaneous mucormycosis that accounts for around 10 to 31%, and then the pulmonary, that is 3 to 22%, then renal, that is 0.5 to 9%, Gastrointestinal mucormycosis is something that is more common in pediatrics age group, which accounts for around 2 to 8%. Apart from that, also mucormycosis can occur in various other organs of the body like the spine, ear, bone, and other underlying tissues. What is important is that we need to understand the underlying diseases or the risk factors that can lead to mucormycosis. And number one is diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus is around 54 to 76% percent of a risk factor for this disease. People having diabetes mellitus, and out of these people, some 8 to 22% people having diabetic ketoacidosis, which is itself a complication of diabetes mellitus, do report with mucormycosis. The prevalence of mucormycosis is little higher in northern India than compared to southern India, but the ratio between the north and south is slowly changing with improved health facilities. The reasons that were being stated some 10 to 12 years back of mucormycosis, or for that matter 5 years back, due to lack of regular health checkups in Indian population, the diagnosis of mucormycosis, unmasked diabetes, is around 43% patients from North India. This is something that is very alarming. And if you look at the report of mucormycosis reported during this COVID, it is mainly in this region of Western UP, Bihar, and Haryana, Upper Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. All these areas, north predominant areas, this disease is predominantly reported. In Karnataka also, a good number of mucormycosis has been reported in southern. So it is a pan-India phenomena. Next to diabetes mellitus, the next major cause of mucormycosis will be hematological malignancy, which is around 1 to 9% of cases in India, as compared to 38 to 62% of cases in Europe and United States. Solid organ transplantation is a risk factor, again 2.6 to 11% in India as compared to 7 to 14% global. In India, 3 to 26% of mucormycosis cases are recorded from immunocompetent host compared to 18 to 19% globally. Cases in India often present with cutaneous or isolated renal mucormycosis. So mucormycosis is not something that is very uncommon in India. It is on a gradual rise. Other predisposing factors may be chronic kidney disease, steroid therapy, pulmonary tuberculosis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and various other new factors can be added as and when we increase our study. But no study as of now has said that the humidifier that is used for oxygenation is actual reason for the growth of the fungus that is causing mucormycosis. There is another risk, that is a long-term treatment with voriconazole, which is seen in patients who are having autoimmune diseases, HIV infections, malnourished, prolonged ICU stay, immunosuppressants. All these things together lead to a disease called mucormycosis. In India, what I believe is, during this COVID-19, the major reason for mucormycosis could be an underlying diabetic pressure, highly immunocompetent patients, underlying diseases like HIV and hepatitis, malnourished, prolonged ICU stay, and multiple comorbidities. Therefore, instead of panicking when someone is giving you a steroid, instead of panicking, just calm down, relax, and look at these factors. There is a very age old treatment, that is amphotericin B, which is now amply available. Unfortunately, in previous days, these antibiotic and antifungal treatments were not very much available. Therefore, there was a high rate of mortality in mucormycosis. At the end, I would like to say the exact prevalence of mucormycosis in India is unknown, though the estimated prevalence is much higher than that in developed countries. The possible reason for high prevalence is in abundance of mucorals in the community and hospital environment. Large number of susceptible hosts, especially diabetics, and neglect for regular health checkups of Indian populations is what leading to a more violent mucormycosis in this country. We are lucky that COVID 19 has brought this disease to the forefront, but this is a disease for the future to work on. Hope you all stay safe, stay happy, stay positive. Thank you.